Sonic Prime released in December of 2022, and for a while the canonicity of the series has been at war. Sega/Sonic Team has been pushing this show as canon for a while, where the fandom has been pushing this show as non-canon and believes what Sega is saying is bullshit. But where do I stand on this situation? Well, I've thought about it a lot, and I personally believe this to be canon. Now before you click off, I promise you I have good reason to think this. And so let me explain why I personally believe Sonic Prime to be canon by going through the biggest reasons I've seen so far, starting with the biggest one, and in my opinion, the worst one. Okay, so I have every reason I deadass think this is the worst one. There have been games where Sonic acts just like this, if not worse, than he does in Prime. So if we assume that Sonic being immature makes this non-canon, that means Sonic Lost World, Sonic Colors, and Sonic Forces are all non-canon. Which isn't possible because Frontiers references Lost World and Forces, and Lost World mentions Baldy McNosehair, which originates from the questionable writing in Colors. So that would mean also decanonizing Frontiers, but if I do that, the Sonic fandom will hunt me down with pitchforks and burn me at the stake. The point is, Sonic's writing as a character hasn't been consistent for over a decade. I've struggled to understand why it's suddenly a problem now when you're all perfectly fine with the immaturity before. Also, I've seen a lot of people when using this argument act as if it doesn't make sense for him to act like this because this apparently takes place after Frontiers. But like, where did you get that from? We literally have had no indication of when this show takes place. The only thing we know is that it has to take place after Colors because of the appearance of Orbot and Cubot in episode 1. Realistically, as long as this show takes place after Colors and before Forces due to IDW taking place straight after Forces, this could go anywhere on the timeline. But okay, let's move on to the next point of discussion. So this is one that I can kind of understand why people would take issue with it, but I think I can explain it. Green Hill is basically the Mushroom Kingdom for Sonic. People are sick of it constantly appearing, yeah, but it is the Sonic location, whether we like it or not. Plus, we don't actually see if Sonic has a house here or not. Green Hill being Sonic's home could just mean it's a place he knows he can always come back to. Also, someone has mentioned to me that it's weird how Green Hill is the only location shown, but I personally believe that's for two reasons. First of all, they reasonably probably spent a lot of the budget on the shadow spaces in order to make them look the best, especially as that's where 90% of the show takes place. And the second reason is they probably wanted to put the focus on Green Hill, as that's where Sonic has always resided. This is probably the hardest one to explain, and for me to explain it, I really do need you to bear with me. To start off, let's take a look at Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic is a highly popular and interesting character. Introduced back in Sonic CD in 1992, Metal Sonic was meant to be a copy of Sonic. But even then, he was only really similar in terms of design and speed. His personality was stone cold, not as nearly as quippy or as jokey as Sonic. And with Sonic Heroes Neo Metal, he basically became his own character, and has been that ever since. Metal even has some of his own abilities. He can produce energy surges, copy the character's voices or abilities, and as Neo Metal, he could shoot fucking lightning bolts. He's no longer anywhere close to a copy of Sonic now, and you could argue he never was. Now, let's look at Chaos Sonic. Chaos Sonic is quippy, cocky, extremely talkative, etc. He is Sonic's personality, but exaggerated to the fullest. He also can match Sonic's speed and doesn't really have any of his own abilities. Chaos Sonic is the closest to an evil Sonic copy you can get. He matches Sonic's personality, he matches his abilities, and has a very similar design to Sonic overall. So in my opinion, I can see why Sonic was confused. This isn't just a knockoff in terms of looks, this is a knockoff in terms of literally everything. And while yeah, Mel originated as Sonic's ripoff, he stopped being that after his first appearance in CD. He is now just his own character who really only shares his name and design with Sonic. Whereas Chaos Sonic differs in the fact that he's pretty much an exact copy. Hell, him being an exact copy is the reason for his existence. I'm doing these two together because they're pretty easily explainable and they aren't long enough for their own sections. Let's start with Knuckles' complaint. Sonic and Knuckles do indeed meet properly in Hidden Palace. Previously, before this moment, they had only gotten quick glimpses at each other. If you see someone on the street that you don't speak to and don't know anything about, that doesn't qualify as you meeting them. Sonic and Knuckles knew each other existed, but they never spoke to each other or really found out who they were. Knuckles only knew Sonic's name because of Eggman telling him. Hidden Palace was the first time they actually fought and spoke to each other. You could use the counter that Knuckles stopped Sonic at the start of Angel Island and they actually met there, but I'll use the same analogy. If I go up and punch some random person on the street, that doesn't mean I met them, it means I'm a dick, but doesn't mean I met the person. Moving on to the Tails argument, I think it's at this point universally agreed that the tornado is Tails's. Like, in 99% of the tornado's appearances, Tails is the one piloting and taking care of it. Also, Sonic never specifies which plane he's talking about, and Tails has had a few different planes that he made. And this was during a scene where Sonic was trying to gas Tails up. It makes sense he'd mention the plane that Tails always pilots. Okay, so with those two done, I believe I've addressed all of the points I want to address with the video. However, there is one more point that I didn't bring up because it's the only point I couldn't think of a defense for, and that's the line where Sonic is shocked by Flickies not controlling Eggman's robots. The best way to handle this line is just to completely ignore it. It's not like it's an important line, it's a quick 2-second throwaway line that no one even hears. You can ignore this line completely and not overthink it, and that, in my opinion, easily makes Sonic Prime canon. So to answer the question, is Sonic Prime canon? Yes, from my perspective it is. I don't know if I got every point in this video. If I missed one that you would like for me to try and defend in the comments, I'd honestly be happy to, because I fucking love this shit. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.